What if I told you you could get 2,500 lumens from a rechargeable Baton light? What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about the Olight R50, which does exactly that. It has a peak output of 2,500 lumens on its turbo mode, and that's powered by a 26650 lithium rechargeable battery that it does come with. And real quick, it's three other modes. It's got a high mode, 800 lumens, a medium mode of 300 lumens, and a low mode of 50 lumens. This is, as you'd expect, a bit larger baton than a lot of the other ones in Olight's lineup. Let me just grab the S2R, which we've talked about before. Whoops, for the sake of comparison. You can see that that light is thinner and shorter. That's powered by your standard 18650 rechargeable battery, which is pretty common in flashlights. This one, I'll open it up for you so that you guys can see it. A much bigger and wider 26650 battery than the 18650. This has 4,000 milliamps hours rated to its battery life. You can use 26650s that you have gotten yourself, but you won't be able to use the rear micro USB charging slot. You need the battery that comes with it because it has a specialized end on it. There is no tail clicky or anything like that, so the flashlight is entirely operated from this button right here. Just turn it on. And then if you want to switch modes, you press and hold down, and it will cycle between low, medium, and high over and over again. You just let go when you're on the mode that you want to stay on. The flashlight does remember, like all of the other Baton lights that we've reviewed, the mode that you left it on. So we had it on medium. When I turned it on again, it will be on medium again. And you can step it up to high, back down to low. If you want to go into the turbo mode, you double click very quickly. That will go into the 2,500 lumen mode for as long as the battery can withstand that kind of output. On the back of the box, you can see that it does say the 2,500 lumen mode, your battery time is 2 to 150 minutes. And what that means is off of a fresh battery charge, you get about 2 minutes of the burst mode of 2,500 lumens, after which point, as you can see, it goes down to the 800 and you get about 150 minutes at that point. Of that mode. If you kick it straight into high on a full charge, you'll get about 1,200 lumens for 12 minutes, and then it will drop down to about 800, and at that point you'll have 130 minutes of battery runtime at the 800 lumens. It is a little bit of a bummer. The flashlight is billed at a 2,500 lumen light, but you really don't get that amount of usable light for very long. However, 800 lumens is nothing to sneeze at, and the much wider bezel on this light than other Baton lights in the series does give it significantly better throw distance and a much wider spill, which when you just need a light that's really bright and is going to fill up a big area, this does a nice job. So we'll talk about it more a little bit when we bring it back inside, but for now let's take this light outside and I'll show you what we mean by the throw distance and the spill area. We're outside with the Olight R50, and with no further ado, let's jump straight into the Mac Daddy mode, 2,500 lumens. Bam! If you've watched any of my other videos where I've been in the backyard, you can see by comparison just how super bright this is. The viewfinder doesn't always pick up how far it shines quite as well as in person, but this is straight to the back of the yard. Huge detail. Pretty much the entire yard at once is illuminated. I've moved to a different part of the yard so we can appreciate the throw distance a little bit more. You can see that really move it down. That goes well out into the street. I don't want to shine it at anybody's windows, but I don't have any area immediately around me that can really do justice to the distance this has, but that nice wide bezel fills an enormous area in front of you with a pretty nice hotspot in the middle of it. This is the high mode. which tops out at 800 lumens. This still, when your battery is drained a little bit to the point where it can't do the turbo mode anymore, it will default to this. And if you were on turbo mode, the next time you turn the light on, it will kick into the high mode. You still get excellent throw distance with that. It may not be as obvious in the viewfinder. It looks a little bit more like you only really see the hot spot and a little bit of area around it, whereas in person, pretty much everything in front of me is fairly well illuminated. There's a little bit of a hotter color temperature to the beam. It's not quite as pure white as other lights, for those who are curious about the beam color, but I wouldn't say that it's really yellow or anything, just slightly on the warmer side. And as you can see, I'll put the camera down here. I want you to be able to appreciate the width of the spill area. This is the low mode. As you can see, you do get, as with all modes on this light, a nice radius around it that is sufficient to not trip on things while you're walking around. But if you're going with the hotspot, then great illumination. 50 lumens, 50 hours at this mode. That would probably make a pretty usable mode for a lot of things, but you wouldn't be carrying around a light this heavy unless you wanted a little more power. There we go, there's medium. And I believe this is 300 lumens. And you can get about 6 hours of battery life with this. Let me back up till that's about 20 feet from me. Okay, right about there. Nice detail there. The hotspot isn't as tight anymore at that point, but I actually personally kind of like that because that makes the brightest usable area, at this range anyway, a little bit more useful. If you were using this for a really long distance thrower, you'd probably want a tighter hotspot than that for the distance, but I think that's pretty solid. Also, of course, a triple click will put it into the strobe mode. Strobe on all of the Olight flashlights I've used is easy to get into and pretty bright. Definitely bright on this light. Okay, thoughts about this light. Overall, I do enjoy it. It's not terribly heavy. I mean, it's definitely got some more heft to it than the smaller Baton lights, but you could actually shove this in a pocket. I mean, as you can see in my hand, it does take up a good portion of your hand, but it's not a very long or protruding light. Coat pocket, if you had a belt holster that was wide enough for this, you could wear it that way. It doesn't come with one, but I've seen plenty of holsters that would probably fit this. So you could make it an everyday carry light. It wouldn't be a jeans pocket, you know, kind of thing, but it is pretty versatile. Significantly better throw distance than some of the other smaller Batons that I've played with. A lot of light, and that big 4500 milliamp hour battery that's in this gives all of its modes except for the very highest some great runtime. I mean, 50 lumens on a lot of lights, that's their medium mode, and as you saw outside, you can do a pretty good job of seeing around on the ground in front of you with that, and you get 50 hours with that. So in any kind of survival setting or situation where you need a ton of battery life, that is a phenomenal way to do it, and you just get a heck of a lot more light with this on that low mode than you would on smaller lights. And the medium mode at 300 lumens, I've had flashlights before that their high modes weren't even that high, and you get 6 hours with that. That's a fantastic default mode if you want to just stick with that for this light all the time. And in the high mode, you get just over 2 hours with between 800 and 1200 lumens. If you never worried about the turbo mode that it came up with, you know, 800 to 1200 lumens is a lot. As you saw there, good throw, really good illumination. The beam is fairly neutral, a little bit on the warm side, but that doesn't really bother me. Not the greatest thrower, as you saw outside. You'd probably want the hotspot to be a bit tighter, a bit smaller if this was going to be a really long distance light, but it sure does at under, you know, 100 yards or so, 100 meters. This does a great job of lighting things up really nicely. Pretty good beam profile. Wonderful to be able to just see where you're going. Details are very clear. You don't really need to rely just on the hotspot to be able to see things within, 50 feet or less. It's very well constructed. There's no rattle at all in it. It does come with a lanyard to wrap around your hand while you use it. It's probably useful since this is kind of a heavy light. You wouldn't want to drop it. It says that it's impact resistant to 1 meter, and the box lists it as a maximum distance of 297 meters. I didn't have anywhere to test it conveniently to try that kind of distance, but I could see where it would, and definitely under 100 meters on the high on turbo modes. It would be really well illuminated. About 255 grams weight when you have the battery in it. So again, it's got some heft, definitely, compared to smaller Baton lights like this. After you hold that for a while, this feels like it's got nothing to it. This is definitely heftier. However, with bigger lights like the mag lights that take the 3D cells like I've reviewed, with similar run times in some cases, and this actually being brighter with such a comparatively smaller size, that's a real edge for this light. I do like all the Baton lights in this series, that it's very easy to just switch through the modes with holding this button down. I like that you can just triple click to get into a strobe mode. That's really useful to just get in and out of that. Double clicking gets you into the turbo mode. Again, really easy to do that. Other lights I've had in the past, you had to do combinations of twisting the bezel and pushing stuff on the tail. And it wasn't terrible, but it certainly wasn't as convenient as the way that they did this, which is very nice. And the ability to charge the light with a standard micro USB is great, because a lot of people don't have special chargers to fit the batteries that are in here. You can get universal chargers and lithium chargers to do those type of batteries in the 18650s. I do have chargers like that, but I'll say, even if you have chargers that can handle the lithium ion, it's really convenient to just plug the flashlight in like you would your cell phone or any other kind of mobile device. And the best part is, if you're going to give one of these flashlights as a gift to somebody, or you're going to let someone borrow your light, you don't have to worry that they don't have a charger for it. I actually did give one of these Baton lights as a gift to someone for Christmas this last year, and I knew that he didn't have a specialized charger like I do, but I didn't have to worry about it because the light came with an ability, had a charging dock. You could just stick the light on, so I knew he was going to be good to go just with what came with the light, and there's really something to say for that. So I just think that that's a really nice feature that they include. It would have been nice if the light came with a holster. The box literature does say that this would be a versatile flashlight for police, security, industrial, and home use. I could certainly see that, especially for industrial and like police security. If you needed to light up a parking lot or a facility that was very dark and you needed a really wide usable area with no shady spots, corners, this would do a much better job of that than smaller lights. Some of the bigger lights I've used, it's nice to be able to have D batteries that you can get in any store, but on the other hand, that makes the light even bigger and really heavy. Man, when you need light, this is probably one of the brightest lights I've used, and it just does a phenomenal job under 100 meters. So I'd recommend it to anyone for those settings, and if a little extra size doesn't bother you for an everyday carry light, then you really can't go wrong with this, because it's got a mode for pretty much any application you would use. The low mode is more than sufficient for anything you're going to do inside, and you can, even if you're going for a walk in the evenings, or you're going to read, or if you're camping, that low mode would be perfect for any of those things. In the 50 hours, you could probably go a whole weekend camping trip using the light without it dying once with that mode. And just stepping up into just the medium mode, 300 lumens, you can go for walks in the night with that. You can look for things, get a pretty good distance at that. You probably don't even need the high mode for a lot of everyday tasks. The high mode would really be for more tactical settings, or when you just need serious distance. So thanks guys for watching. I hope this was helpful to you if you've been considering this light or just looking for something big and bright to add to your collection. I would recommend this. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more of these reviews. I will be adding more flashlight and other type of gear reviews as I get them. See you guys next video.